Support for WUWM podcasts comes from Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, home to 24/7 excitement, dining, and an on-site hotel at 1721 West Canal Street. More information at potawatomi.com.
You're listening to Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR station. Here's one of our favorite conversations about what's happening in the city.
Conservationists are celebrating the return of sturgeon to the Milwaukee River, 20 miles upstream from Lake Michigan. It's the first time one of the giant fish was documented in Ozaukee County in more than a century. Sturgeon disappeared from the river because of things like overfishing and degraded habitat. The discovery of the sturgeon so far from Lake Michigan signals a milestone in a sturgeon restoration project that's been underway for 20 years. WUWM environmental reporter Susan Bence is joined by Andrew Struck, the Director of Planning and Parks in Ozaukee County. He begins by describing the cameras that capture the sturgeon's historic journey.
The camera is immediately below us here at this culvert. And then we also have a overhead camera that you can see the actual fishway. But the underwater camera is in this culvert, and it's a kind of a pinch point for all migrating fish that are coming up the Milwaukee River. And then when they hit the Thiensville-Mequon Dam, they find their way over to our Nature Lake Fishway here and come through the fishway, and they have to pass through this culvert that we're standing on. So it's a little bit of a pinch point. Every single fish that comes past this point on the Milwaukee River has to pass through this culvert, and so we can get a really good count and image of those fish that are passing through.
Normally, this time of year, what might be passing through?
Some of the first runs are non-native fish, but sport fish. So some of the trout species, Chinook and steelhead and even rainbow trout are some of the first game fish that come kind of migrating. But we will start to see some of our other native fish now starting to migrate up. That means northern pike.
But what was special about March 30th?
March 30th was very special, really a historic day for a historic journey. We had the first adult male lake sturgeon come up from Lake Michigan and make it through the fishway here at Thiensville-Mequon, up past the fishway and past the dam for the first time in probably over 100 years. The sturgeon are back.
It is incredible because there's the restoration in and of itself and the fact that it's hooray.
Yes.
It's working.
It's working.
But it's also working because of the pathway that's been made to be more natural coming up from Lake Michigan to this spot.
Absolutely.
North Avenue Dam.
Yes. Yeah, we've so many partners, so much effort over, frankly, 2 decades. So making that passage, that journey possible. North Avenue Dam, Kletch Dam, Estabrook Dam, in Milwaukee County, those efforts. And then our efforts here at Thiensville-Mequon Dam with the fishway that was constructed in 2009 and 10, and then reconstructed with the idea of making it even more suitable for passage by lake sturgeon. And
it worked.
There was a question, but now we have absolute confirmation that lake sturgeon can make it all the way up. And so they will be able to make it up here to Ozaukee County and hopefully find their native spawning grounds.
So what made it more suitable, more inviting for sturgeon?
Well, I think first of all was the reintroduction itself. So bringing sturgeon back to the Milwaukee River has been a two plus decade process.
Coordinated primarily through River Edge Nature Center and the DNR?
That's correct. Yes, DNR and River Edge Nature Center established back in 2006-ish, established a streamside rearing for lake sturgeon.
Their own little trailer,
their own little hatchery. And why is that important? Because sturgeon, like a lot of our other native fish, are attracted to the chemical composition of the water where they were born. And so they have an olfactory sense, if you will, a native sense for the water, the chemical makeup of the water where they were born, and have a natural strong instinct to get back to that same tributary. And so the streamside rearing used Milwaukee River and the natural chemicals in the rearing trailer. So they actually would take Milwaukee River and pump it through the streamside rearing station or trailer to raise the fish. So they had that chemical imprint on them when they were reintroduced. So over the last 20 years or so, the DNR, River Edge, and many, many other volunteers have been not only rearing, but then stocking the sturgeon back as part of Sturgeon Fest.
They're about to hit their 20th anniversary, right?
They're about to hit their 20th anniversary, and what better way to celebrate? Absolutely.
So just to clarify, when you say chemicals, you're not meaning that chemicals are being added. You're saying it's the
the natural
profile of that water.
Yeah, the natural water's chemistry, from the natural water. So again, we just see a little mink coming into the fishway.
What I want to see...
He's hunting.
So what I want to see is a sturgeon.
Yes.
We can't leave until we see a sturgeon.
I'll have to show you on the video. You won't be able to see it from the top side, but you can see it on OzaukeeFishway.org. You can see the underwater camera, and there is a clip of the first male sturgeon, 50 plus inches long, passing through the fishway here at Thiensville-Mequon Dam. Yes.
Tell us who that sturgeon was and more about him.
Very good point. So in addition to the underwater camera, we actually have what are called pit tag readers, passive integrated transponding readers. So each lake sturgeon, when they're reared, they get a little tag. It's very similar to the tag that's put in our pets that you can read with a chip reader. And each one of the sturgeon, when they're reared, gets a pit tag. And then we have pit tag readers all along the Milwaukee River now, but one of the first ones was put in here at Thiensville-Mequon that lays in the bottom of the fishway and can detect that when they swim over it. So they can detect that chip. That chip has a unique ID number, and so we know that unique fish, and we can tell when it was stocked. In this case, that male was stocked in 2011, right here at Thiensville-Mequon in Thiensville Park. And so, 15-year-old male, mature and coming up. And, the unique thing about sturgeon is they take a while to get to sexual maturity. So 15 years is probably on the early end of that. So very, very positive sign. That would be
He's raring to go.
He's raring to go. That would be the first, the sign that we would see the males coming back. And the females take a little bit longer to hit sexual maturity. So unfortunately, he may be making this journey and not find a partner, but we're hopeful that maybe there are also some female sturgeons coming up. But generally speaking, we know that the females take a little bit longer to make their journey.
So how much further upstream can they travel at this point?
So we're at roughly river mile 20, I believe, here at the Thiensville Dam, and they can go up to the Bridge Street Dam in the village of Grafton. So I believe that is right around river mile 30 or so. So that's the mileage from Lake Michigan. So up to the village of Grafton.
So they can't quite make it up to River Edge.
They can't make it back to River Edge, but they do have that same sense of the water.
That sense of home.
That sense of home. And a whole host of partners, again, have contributed to this success over 2 decades. But one thing that we're very hopeful for is actually now being able to have successful spawning habitat for those sturgeon. And one of our other projects here in Ozaukee County was the removal of the lime kiln dam in the village of Grafton, which is accessible, so they can get up to that area. And what makes that special for spawning sturgeon is it's fractured bedrock in that reach of the Milwaukee River. And it's got higher velocities, but not too high. And so we believe, yet to be confirmed, but we believe that might be really ideal sturgeon spawning habitat in that reach by lime kiln. And what made that possible was the dam removal that we did there in 2011-12.
I was going to say that was a while ago.
It was a while ago. So all of these steps have been leading up to the day.
That was WUWM environmental reporter Susan Bence speaking with Andrew Struck, the Planning and Parks Director for Ozaukee County.
That was the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast. It comes from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR station. Lake Effect is WUWM's talk show all about what's happening in the city. If you want to hear more conversations like this, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast, and you'll hear highlights from the show. If you want to hear the full show, it's on the radio at noon, Monday through Friday, on 89.7